Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a get it all done video. There'll be some cleaning motivation, as well as I'm going to water my garden and give you a tour of my garden, and also show you a slow cooker recipe, an Instant Pot recipe, and another recipe I have for kids snacks. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm a married mom of 3. I have 2 boys ages 7 and 2 and a 4-year-old girl. I post weekly content with cleaning, organization, and decluttering motivation. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, as well as I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos from me. And let's do this. So I had just come out to water my plants, and then all of a sudden it started raining, so the kids are back inside now, but I wanted to still get them watered even though it's going to rain. But I just want to make sure that they have enough, because some of them fall under the roof line a bit, so they don't get as much water as they probably need. But here, I'll give you a quick tour of the veggies and a little bit of fruit that I have in our backyard. We keep it mostly for fruit and veggies. I don't have very many flowers back here, just on my back porch right here. So I have a few things here, but other than that, I keep just fruit and veggies in my actual gardens in the backyard. So this used to all be grass, but what we decided to do was we decided to pull all the grass up and put the gravel there, because then I had a spot to put some potted plants and stuff. So here we have some beefsteak tomato, grape tomatoes, both two of them. We have sweet peppers, cherry tomatoes, blueberries, and beefsteak tomato. And then over here we have our extra sand that we keep in some garbage cans, because we get a big load of it and then just refill the sandbox as needed. The last haul we had lasted about 2.5 or 3 years, so we just recently got some more, so eventually the cans will go away as the kids use the sandbox and sand ends up on the ground. And then I just kind of made up these flower arrangements in these pots. I couldn't really tell you what kind they are, but I think they do look pretty, and just add a little bit underneath the window. And then on the other side of the yard, I do have an actual garden here. So I have snap peas, which my husband put the netting up so that they could climb up the vine. This here is an Asian pear tree, so it's a type of apple. We've gotten quite a few on them, so I usually make applesauce with them. Every year we seem to get more and more, so that's good. And then here I have a pot with strawberries, for strawberries. Then I have this raspberry bush that was actually quite small last year, so this year it's grown quite a bit. I have another strawberry plant in that pot. This is another raspberry bush, which also has grown substantially from what it was last year. These 2 pots are also strawberry, and then this tree is a gala apple tree, so we get quite a few apples on here. So between these apples and these ones, I usually mix them together, and they make a really nice flavored applesauce. So I'll make some and then put it in the freezer for the kids to have when they want some applesauce. So that's kind of my back garden. I have a lot of flowers and stuff in my front garden, but keep this just for veggies. And considering that we don't have a huge yard, I'm actually quite pleased with what we're able to grow back here. So it's been quite exciting, the evolution of this garden since we moved in 5 years ago. So when we moved into the house, the trees and the bushes in the garden and the front of the house and everything were already matured. So they are quite big, quite grown. So every year we do trim them down a bit, because they end up above the roof line of the first floor. So we try to trim them below the roof line, because they will grow quite a bit over the year. This bush here is a lilac bush, and it looks absolutely stunning in the springtime. It's such a beautiful purple color. Unfortunately, it doesn't last too long, so it's now done for this season, but it's absolutely gorgeous when it does blossom. So here, when we first moved in, it just had that bush on the left hand side, the tree, a couple of the big rocks, and there's a fire hydrant behind. So it was all just grass around here. But then, when we had to mow the lawn and everything, it was quite tricky to get to, because you either had to trim it or you're constantly ducking under the tree. So what I decided to do, either it was last year or the year before, was I edged out to make a bigger garden, because I thought it'd be a nice place to have a garden. And as we get to the front porch, you'll see on the to the right of the porch, we have 2 sunflowers. So they are starting to grow quite tall. So we're interested to see how tall they'll get. And then in front of my front porch stairs, I have 2 planters. I got them about 3 years ago, and they came as a planter that were already filled with flowers. And now every year I kind of go and pick different flowers and kind of just make it up. And it's kind of fun because I get to be a little creative with it. And it's going to turn out a little different every year. So I'm very pleased with how they look this year so far. And above the porch stairs here, I like to have the hanging baskets on either side because I think it just adds some color to the front entrance and just adds something else. So they have really grown in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed. So they're starting to hang down and look absolutely gorgeous to be there for the summer. And as we move further along to the left of the porch, that big bush was already there. And then over here, it was actually just grass in front of this window. Well, I decided that grass wasn't growing very well there anyway, and it looked kind of boring. So I edged it out a couple of years ago to create a little garden in front of the window. And I'm really pleased I did this because now I feel like the garden goes all the way across the front of the house. I feel like it's more complete. And I think it just adds more to the front of the house having the garden in front of that window. So this week we've had a particularly nice week, so I've gone out with the kids every single day to enjoy the weather, and therefore now today it's raining and I get to spend the day catching up on all the chores that I was neglecting throughout the week. So my house is a bit of a mess, so I need to tidy it up. So I'm going to take you along as I tidy the house and get some popsicles made, as well as I'm going to make some yogurt, and then I'm going to prep some dinner in the crock pot for tonight. So for me, I still find it easier to do, I guess, old school pen to paper for my to-do list. I just feel so good when I see a bunch of things crossed off my list and feel like I did accomplish something in the day. So I just use random notebooks I have in my house. I write out my list, and then whatever I don't finish for the day, I usually carry over onto another page to start a new list for the next day. So this is just a system I've done. It works for me, and I just feel so accomplished once I see a bunch of things cross off my to-do list. Once I came back in from watering the plants, the first area I wanted to work on was the kitchen. That's always my go-to and the first room I deal with during the day. I want to get the yogurt put on in the Instant Pot, as it does take 8 hours. The first thing I'm checking for is to make sure the vent is sealed. Once I've done that, then I can start putting everything in. So first I put that full bottle of the ultra filtered milk. It can be whatever percentage you want. I chose to do 0%, so it's a bit lighter in fat. And then I put 1/3 of a cup of that vanilla flavoring in. And then afterwards, I'm going to add 2 scoops of yogurt from, in this case I use Activity yogurt, just any yogurt as a starter. And then you want to make sure you stir everything together so that way the yogurt gets mixed in with everything. Once it's all mixed, then I just put the lid on, hit the yogurt button, and then just let it sit for the 8 hours. It will beep when it's done. So then I wanted to start the ribs because they do take a bit of time. So first I unwrapped all the individually wrapped ribs that we had, because we buy the double rack of ribs from Costco and then we cut them up into smaller portions. And then that way we're just taking out what we're going to use as opposed to having to cook a whole rack of ribs. So the first step of these ribs is you have to put them in the crock pot on high for 2 hours. And then after the 2 hours, I will drain the fat, and then that's when we add the sauce. Next, I was getting the sauce all mixed together. So I just mixed together the brown sugar, the ketchup, the grainy mustard, the soy sauce, and the apple cider vinegar, stirred it around, and then just let it sit until I was waiting for the ribs to be ready to put the sauce on. Next, I was going to make the homemade popsicles. I basically made this recipe up. I didn't look anything up online. I just make a smoothie and then I pour the smoothie into the popsicle holders. So it's just ice, some milk, some yogurt, some chocolate protein powder, and then some strawberries. I forgot to put the banana in this day, but you could use any type of fruit you wanted to. You can mix some berries, different types of yogurt. And then I blend it all together and pour into the holders, and this has made great popsicles for the kids. And I often have extra when I do this, so then I usually put some into some cups for the kids, and they like to have the smoothie for a snack. And it was that time of day to run the dishwasher. The dishwasher often gets run at least once a day in our house, sometimes every day and a half, but most cases once a day. The ribs are ready for the sauce, so what I just do is I just take the ribs out of the crock pot, I dump the fat out of the crock pot container, and then I put the ribs back in, and then I pour the sauce over top, and then I put them on low for 5 hours. I want to get the floors vacuumed and mopped. I do vacuum the floors quite regularly. They get done probably at least once a day, if not every other day. But I will be the first to admit that I do not mop my floors enough. And I probably should do it more, especially because I'm sure they have sticky stuff on the floor, especially around the kitchen table from the kids. So I just have just something that I guess it's like looks like a Swiffer, but it's not a Swiffer. And it just has 2 washable cloth covers for them. So I usually get one really wet and use that to mop the floors, and then I use the other one just to dry the floors a bit so they're not wet for too long. And that's kind of worked for our floors because they are hardwood floors, and that worked in our other house as well when we had laminate flooring, so that way the laminate flooring didn't get too wet. I am constantly cleaning the family room. I feel like sometimes multiple times a day, if not at least every day. And there's constantly toys in here. Even though we do have a designated playroom, the kids do bring the toys in, play in here, spread out amongst the house. So I like to keep up with it and kind of try to, as much as I can, clean up the toys from in here and put them back in the playroom, because I'm trying to keep this in the evening as feeling like more of an adult space and don't feel like the kids take over this space. So this room is constantly getting vacuumed. I'm constantly dusting it, and I'm constantly picking up toys off the floor. So I'm going to end the video here while I'm folding the rest of my laundry. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got some motivation to get some stuff done around your house, or some inspiration of some new recipes for either trying the ribs for dinner one night, or making some of the homemade yogurt in Instant Pot if you do own an Instant Pot, or just making some homemade popsicles for your kids that could be quite simple. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channels. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And if you don't want to miss out on any of my future videos, don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll get notified anytime I post a video. And I'll thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.